Hello, friendly alumni. Welcome back to From Here Forward, our award-winning UBC Podcast Network podcast. I'm Carol.
And I'm Jeevan. How's the winter season been treating you, Carol?
Happy December. It's been nothing but good vibes over here. You know me, I prefer the colder seasons, so while many people might be experiencing some of their lowest of lows, I have been thriving. What about yourself? Have you been crashing out because 2026 is around the corner?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I love the winter seasons too. I feel like I love the cozy energy. I love being inside with a blanket. All of that just feels very winter to me. But I feel like I'm ahead of schedule on my existential crisis for the year. I'm still excited for all that lies ahead, but I feel like it's just kind of comes with the territory.
She's prepared, one might argue, which we love that. I am very late on my existential crisis schedule. I think she's coming next week. I'll let you know how that goes down. But back to the topic at hand, we are an alumni podcast, so it's only fitting, really, that Jeevan has compiled some UBC fun facts to lead us into introducing our guest today.
Okay, so Carol, did you know that the University of British Columbia has a student population of nearly 71,000 people, with over 11,000 studying at the Okanagan campus?
I did not know that.
Well, did you also know that UBCO opened its doors in 2005, which, if my math is correct, means the campus is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year?
You know, that's really cute that you asked that question because I did, in fact, know, thanks to our lovely guest for this month's episode. Jeevan and I sat down with Dr. Lesley Cormack, the Principal and Deputy Vice-Chancellor of UBC Okanagan.
And as former UBC Vancouver students, we learned a lot about all the amazing things going on at our sister campus in the interior of BC.
Grab a beverage, get comfortable, and enjoy.
To start, can you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
My name is Lesley Cormack, and I am the Principal and Deputy Vice-Chancellor here at UBC Okanagan. I came here just over 5 years ago. In fact, I've been the Dean of the Faculty of Arts at the University of Alberta before that, and I came to UBCO July 1st, 2020, which, if you think about it, was just as COVID was at its highest point. So it was a very interesting experience to come to a campus and not see anyone for 8 months.
That's a great segue into our next question. So, with your 5-year anniversary, what are some things that you are thinking about or reflecting on?
When I came because I was attracted to three things. First of all, that we were part of a big research university, one of the best universities in Canada that had really strong research credentials, that we were embedded in a smaller and close-knit community. And third, that we had a foundational relationship with the Okanagan Nation. And those three things felt unique in the post-secondary system in Canada. And I would tell you that all three of those have turned out to be true, that we are a smaller, research-intensive campus and university, which is really unusual, so that students can actually have the experience of working in top research labs with really strong research professors, and at the same time be in smaller classes, smaller community. I have found, as I started to talk about the 20th anniversary, that people in the community will tell me they were responsible for bringing UBC to the Valley. And so we have hundreds of people in this community who feel that they have some kind of stake in the success of UBC Okanagan, which is so exciting. And so it means that we have an obligation to do what's right for the community, but we do. And the relationship we have with the Silks people has been amazing.
I think another thing that's really exciting is research and new developments that can come out of an institution like UBCO. What are some of the key research findings, discoveries, or entrepreneurial spin-offs that have come from the campus in your time that have made you excited?
We are in this community. And so an awful lot of the research that we have done collaboratively with industries, with municipalities, with the Silks people. I would say that the research that has been done in the area of language fluency and protection in the Indigenous languages has been astonishing work and has really transformed the community. In the area of wildfire, we've been working on how do we coexist with wildfire. You may know that this campus was evacuated 3 years ago when the wildfire came across the mountain towards us. We live in a space of wildfire and we have to learn to coexist with wildfire. And that's not just about how you put out fires. It's also what happens to the wildlife, what happens to the biota. What do we do when we build urban environments on these spaces close to wildfire? So there's been research on that work that has been going on, and it's actually exploding at the moment. We've got over 30 people who are doing wildfire adjacent research, which I think is really exciting. We also, though, have people who are looking at green technology. That we have a battery research center. We're looking at how do we recycle material to be in concrete that can withstand all of the problems that climate change is throwing our way. And how do we do that with other industries? We're also looking at aerospace and what can we do in collaboration with aerospace, and how do we fly better? How do we make drones better? What does that look like?
So I'm going to just throw it back to your 1990s scholarship days, because I used to study Renaissance studies and I did read your Charting an Empire. And there you argue that geography is important for developing a worldview. So in the context of UBCO, I'm curious what perspective you think the geography of the Okanagan forms for students on campus and alumni.
One of the things that I started to say is we all stand in a space. We're in the process of developing a new academic plan. And part of that plan is to really be grounded in space, in the place that we live in. And one of the things that I started to use is a slogan that got developed for UBC a long time ago, which was, from this place, we can change the world. And we really do stand in a very particular geographical space, as well as a historical space, a political space. I mean, the interior of British Columbia is fascinating in that way. And, this is a place that has incredible wealth in terms of agriculture, value added as well, in terms of tourism, but also high tech. It's a place where you can live and play 4 seasons of the year. It's one of the things that I think is really exciting is that it's a true 4-season part of the world. And, we can have great skiing, we can have great water sports, there's hiking all year round. And so our students are much more integrated into the ecology, into nature that I think happens in lots of other institutions. It's a fast growing place. So if we look at urban geography, Kelowna has been one of the fastest growing cities in Canada over the last 5 years. And that goes with a lot of growing pains and things that especially our social scientists and our health professionals need to really be thinking about.
And what are some key moments or historical events, milestones that have taken place in the last 20 years at UBCO that, maybe even students aren't familiar with or don't get the spotlight they deserve?
I've only been here for the last 5 years, so the rest of them I know as historian. When UBCO was founded 20 years ago, we had 3,500 students. We now have 12,000 students. In just 20 years, that's an incredible expansion. And we also have more faculties, more programs. When UBCO was founded, there was no thought that we would have a school of engineering. But the people, the community in the Okanagan really insisted. And they went to the government and said, no, there has to be engineering here. And so they really were the boosters that allowed us to develop the School of Engineering, which has been such a success and really has worked well with the engineering companies in the region. That's definitely one of the things that's happened in the last 20 years. It's kind of amazing. We were founded knowing that we would have graduate students, but the number of graduate students that you have is much more than was originally imagined. So in our founding documents, it talks about 150 graduate students. That was on the 3,500, of course. We now have 1,200 graduate students in a number of different areas who are going on to do amazing research. We, of course, build a lot of buildings. There's no question about that. So that part of the last 20 years has been building a whole bunch of structures, though not as many in the last 10 years. But we're working on that right now. We have made the campus more diverse over this time. I'm very proud of the fact that we have 8% of our undergraduate population are Indigenous students. And we actually have a higher percentage of students who are Black on our campus than is the case in the Vancouver campus. Another thing that I would say is that, about 25% of our students come from the Okanagan Valley, and 50% of our graduates stay after graduation. So we are helping Kelowna and the Okanagan become younger, more diverse, more entrepreneurial. This is changing the whole complexion of the region.
So you mentioned growing pains. What were some of those growing pains with UBCO being a smaller campus and also just being in a town to what it is now?
Although we did a lot of build out in those first 10 years, we still are struggling with less space than we need. And I think we've been playing catch up almost the whole time. And, you look at other campuses that just have more space for student clubs, more space that you can use for larger gatherings, even more classrooms, more recreational space. Like we have deficits in just about everything. And you could say that we grew too fast, but I think that we grew to the amount that was needed in terms of domestic students, and we started to welcome international students, which I think has been a net positive. But I would say the biggest concern I have is just that we do need more space. That's especially true in the research area because you need space for labs and graduate students, and those are things that you can't do just in the closet somewhere. Those really need to be purpose-built spaces.
Acknowledging the immense growth, I'm curious what your future goals are for UBCO and for the community that is at that campus every single day.
We will look back 20 years from now and just see what a great ride you've been on, just as we have the 20 that have just finished. We have a new Bachelor of Commerce degree that is just starting in September. Which is going to transform our relationship with the business community and will be a huge attraction for students. We're also really looking at how our engineering school can work closely with industries, with businesses to make sure that students from the first time they come to campus have opportunities to do the kind of consultancy kind of work. They really build that kind of embeddedness with industry and business so that they're really ready to move out at the other end. We've developed a new academic vision, which is to be a campus that is teaching and learning and doing research in the area of resiliency. So I think that you're going to see the innovation take off. We're looking to develop the land north of campus to be a neighborhood of market housing, somewhat like UC in Vancouver has. I expect that we will start to have a 12-month campus more than we have now with more opportunities for people to study, and it's going to be great.
Sounds like you're going to be very busy. So we're just going to move on to some fun questions. You've had a long day of meetings and research. You need to decompress and reground yourself. Where are you on the campus to do this?
Walking the trails that are right around the campus. One of the things that I was really excited to find out is that I could just walk out my office door and be walking in wilderness almost immediately with amazing views across the valley. And so that would definitely be something I would think of.
Another fun question before we close out. Can you describe UBCO with the 5 senses? So one for each that can bring us right into the campus. Paint a picture for us.
Obviously, the easiest is sight. And, I go back to the 4-season nature of the area and campus, that seeing the amazing trees that we have that are now changing color, the vista across the valley, occasional plane taking off, that's always an interesting part of it. But also, when you walk into the courtyard, and there are people there that are clearly talking to each other, excited that students are there, they're studying, the faculty and staff are there. it's amazing. And that does lead to the second sense, which is sound, because the buzz of that is really exciting. What's great about this campus is that it's small enough people can reach to each other, that they know each other. And you definitely see and hear that, especially in class change. And we have a barbecue in the late summer for all the staff and faculty to sort of welcome back. And it's a small enough place that people know people from IT, and they know people from HR, and they know people from student services and people from the faculties. And to me, that's the excitement about this smaller campus. So that got me through two. So it's hearing, sight, taste that feels like it's a Tim Hortons. So nice to have a coffee in that morning. That seems like a good one. The sense of touch that's probably one of the hardest, right? Because we live in this sort of cerebral world. And so touch is going to be more connected to the weather and getting out into the snow or whatever that will look like. One of my favorite parts of the year is always convocation. And that's partly about what I just described, that everybody gets together, everybody pulls together, people want to volunteer, the students are excited. So maybe, the touch of the academic gowns is a good one. That's four senses. What's the fifth sense? Time. Time is what moves us all. I do want to tell you a funny story about convocation. We had a makeup convocation because we hadn't been able to have convocation during COVID, and the gowns didn't arrive. And so suddenly there we are with everybody with their parents and what are we going to do? And so ceremonies people found 20 black gowns that just were around. No hoods, no mortarboards. And what we did is that the first 20 people would wear these. They'd go across the stage. They'd leave the stage, and then people would take these off, run it to the other side, put it on the next 20 people. And I was watching because I could see the whole thing unfolding from the platform. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I thought, oh, we're going to get so much pushback that people are going to be so disappointed. No one, but everyone was happy as anything to be doing the convocation. And it really did show. It was just a team effort. It was like a machine that was running these things across for 250 people with 20 gowns. And we came to the end, and convocation has always this tradition of the hat toss at the end of convocation. Well, and so I stand up and I'm like, oh, now it's time for the hat toss. And you're like, but we don't have hats. So what can we do? And I said, I know, we're going to do jazz hands. So we did.
I can just imagine there are so many students like joyfully telling that story, because what a time that was. And it's so funny to think that so much time has passed and so little time has passed at the same time.
I know. I do think that COVID is this marker, like the before times and the after times, right? And it does, it is a long time ago now. That one of the things I really notice this year is that students seem to be connecting better. They're talking to each other more. They're just out in the community. This is the first year class that didn't have COVID during high school. And I think that they are in better shape. And I think this reminds us that COVID was very, very hard on young people.
Absolutely. That is our last fun question. Is there anything that we missed or anything else you'd like to share about your work, about UBCO?
One thing I would say about UBCO is that we have amazing people here. That faculty, the staff, the leaders, people all want the best for this campus and the best for UBC, and really the best for students. And because we're smaller, we can pull together and do things that would not be possible at a big campus. And we really saw that this year when international students who were applying were struggling to complete their application processes, to complete their processes to get study permits. And we pulled together people from different parts of campus. All then were repurposed, followed each of those students, sometimes multiple times, so that they could walk them through processes. And it was successful. It meant that students got their materials, they were able to come, And I am so proud of the staff who just said, this is what we need to do. We need to find a solution. And they did. And that's UBCO.
I think that is such a lovely note to leave it on. Dr. Cormack, thank you so much for your time. It's been so lovely chatting with you today.
Well, you're very welcome. It's been lovely talking to you as well.
We had a great time interviewing Dr. Cormack. She was a lovely human and not as intimidating as I thought she would be, considering she's in such a prestigious high leadership role. Loved learning about her admiration for UBCO. Jeevan, did you have any specific moments that you loved?
There was so much to love from that conversation, but I especially enjoyed Dr. Cormack's 5 senses description. I felt like I've visited UBCO once in undergrad because my best friend went there. And I really felt like I was back on the campus. It was a fun little journey.
I was nervous about that question, but she delivered. And I love when guests are able to tap into their creativity. Well, I guess that's it from us. It is really strange how another year has passed. So I hope everyone has a great holiday.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all who celebrate.
We hope everyone enjoys their time off, indulge in some of life's pleasures, moderation is key, and survive the annual stressful conversations about politics with family members you'd rather not see for consecutive days.
Nice. And with that, we'll see you in 2026.
Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you catch our next episode by subscribing or following our show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling your feels, please drop us a review. You can find me on Blue Sky at Carol Eugene Park.
And me on Twitter at Jeevan K. Sangha. From Here Forward is an alumni UBC podcast produced by Kylie McFedrin from Podium Podcast Company.